The one who told you for the first time, "Take my body," is your mother. At the foot of the cross, when Jesus tells John, "Here is your mother," he is in fact handing over the source of his own body and blood, a mother for the humanity.
मूलं समीक्ष्य यत्र गम्यताम् सर्वेषां मार्गं तथैव प्रवृत्ति.
My sisters and brothers, a very hearty welcome to each one of you to this monthly recollection talk. In the recent times, we celebrated a good number of feasts and solemnities of our Blessed Mother. On the 15th of August, the Assumption of Mary. On the 8th of September, her Nativity. On the 12th of September, the Holy Name of Mary. And on the 15th of September, the Feast of Our Lady of Sorrows. In addition, the whole month of October is remembered as a month dedicated to our Blessed Mother, especially venerating her through the Holy Rosary. All these celebrations invite us to the awareness of the very person of the Mother with her exuberant characteristics and qualities. Let us today take some time to reflect on the role of a mother in our lives. Sometimes in my dialogues and conversations, I used to say that Jesus went through all difficulties and sorrows of life, which we human beings have experienced in our own lives. Jesus has gone through everything that a human being can think of. But in the course of time, I realize that Jesus has not gone through one crucial struggle of life. What is that? That is the painful experience of the absence of a mother. He never experienced it. Of course, I know that it is a shocking statement. Even as we talk of many sad events of our life, one of the blessings of our life is to have a mother in life. Jesus had it for sure. He had a mother till the end of his life. In every struggling moment of his life, the presence of the mother came in search of him. In fact, when we look at the very purpose of the gospel, we realize that the evangelists do not have any need to speak of Mary in the gospel because she is someone who is to be presented only in backdrops, rather as a shadow against the light. The focal point of the gospel is Jesus himself. In spite of that, how many times do we meet Mary in the gospel narratives? In almost all the most important moments of Jesus' life, Mary is there. Take the incident of the wedding feast at Cana. Although the culmination of the whole episode brings joy to the listeners, we are compelled to listen to a statement made by Jesus. "Woman, my time has not yet come." Time? Time, according to the scripture, is a word that is connected with the destination or final end of a person, the goal of a person. In fact, it is not a very positive connotation. It has a sense of pain involved in it. It is a discerning point of Jesus' life to decide about his public life and ministry. Mary becomes a reference point for him to start his journey. Some of the scholars would say that although Mary does not say anything openly, she gives a green signal to Jesus that he can now enter into his time. Of course, there are other incidents narrated in the Gospel, such as that Mary is waiting outside to meet her son, because all what she hears about her son are not very positive strokes. He is rejected in the towns, he is disrespected in his own village, and various are the accusations that come against him. Yes, the life of Mary, the mother, was not always pleasant. Finally, there is in the Gospel a classic statement. Mary stood at the foot of the cross. As I always say, one of the most painful moments in the life of a mother is to see or to encounter the death of her own children. I have experienced it in my personal life through the life experience made by my grandmother. She in fact suffered that struggle in her life. She had 6 children. Out of these 6, unfortunately for her, she had to witness the death and burial of 5 of her children, except that of my father. Each time when she was witnessing the funeral of her child, she used to tell me after that, I was burying myself into the tomb. Yes, my sisters and brothers, the most painful moment of a mother's life is to see her child dying in front of her. But as I understand, mothers suffer it courageously. That's why at the foot of the cross, there are only women standing. Mary, the mother of Jesus. Mary, the wife of Cleopas, and Mary of Magdala. Yes, mothers are courageous. Therefore, what we notice here is that even when we say that Jesus suffered a lot, one thing he did not lack is the presence of a mother. Even as he was dying, rather, even after his death, she was there. Sisters and brothers, most of us have still not understood the importance of having a mother in life, especially those of us who are still blessed with the physical presence of a mother at our side. But that is not the story with everyone, especially those who do not have the blessing of the physical presence of the mother near them. The life experience of many would depict before us the deepest desire of each one. If only my mother were to be there, she would have understood me. Yes, to have a mother is a blessing. Sisters and brothers, in my personal reflection over this pertinent aspect of our life, that of a mother, I understand mother is an attitude of life. There is a trend now, especially in the European world, to compare Jesus and Buddha from the point of view of their approach to life. At the same time, even when people try to compare the teaching of Jesus with that of Buddha, it needs to be understood well that they approach the realities of life from 2 totally different perspectives. It is natural that everyone looks for a solution to the sad happenings in the world. When does someone become great? One becomes great when one begins to throw wisdom to solve the sadness of the humanity. In that way, even in the secular world, these two names of Jesus and that of Buddha will be loudly heard. But interestingly, the path they found to get out of the sorrows of the world is totally different. In Buddha, it was more of self-centered, self-contained, or self-oriented approach. That is the reason he proposes the way of detachment. Jesus, on the contrary, was a man who was very much attached to human beings, especially to women, children, the downtrodden, the unwanted, and all those in the fringe of the society. How does this difference emerge? Scholars who see these two from a psycho-spiritual perspective would say that Buddha did not have the blessing of a mother, whereas Jesus had it always. Buddha was an orphan child. To be an orphan or a motherless child is not about the want of material or physical advantage alone, such as when the child cries, giving it milk. Rather, it's an attitude of life, because mother is always other-oriented. The best mother-oriented person whom a child encounters in life is its mother. No mother can be self-centered. Her attitude naturally influences the children under her warm care. The day Gautama Buddha was born, his mother Maya Devi died. It is equal to say that he was born into sorrow. Therefore, Buddha developed a philosophy of life that the only way to find solution to one's sorrows is to turn to oneself. A philosophy of total detachment from outside world and self-centered journey into oneself. On the other hand, as someone who experienced the loving presence of a mother throughout his life, Jesus becomes very much other-oriented. This other-oriented attitude is continued till the end of his life. Even as he carries the cross to Calvary, this attitude is vividly shown forth. He sees there a group of women standing at the side of the road, weeping and lamenting. But Jesus says, "Cry for yourself and your children." Consider it merely from a human perspective. It is just like when you go to the house of someone whom you love, the host says, "Your children are alone at home, isn't it? Go back soon." There you understand the statement of Jesus. Weep for your children. Be at their side. Yes, my sisters and brothers, I always look at Jesus, the human, who, through his journey with me, takes me to the divine. Then Jesus, the divine, who comes down to save me. Jesus, the human, walks with me in my struggles of life and takes me to the heights even as he himself is carrying the cross. The reason for this other-oriented life of Jesus is that he had the benefit of a mother always at his side. Even when Jesus had many struggles to undergo, due to the advantage of having a mother, he gives a final gift to the world. Take my mother. Sisters and brothers, my specialization in theological studies is on the sacrament of the Eucharist. Whenever I teach Eucharist, I used to emphasize that the ultimate giving of Jesus of himself to his disciples or rather to the humanity, was in the upper room, giving his own body and blood. Take this, my body. Take this, my blood. But as I began to be more and more involved in the journey of my life, as well as that of others, I began to ask that question recurrently. Where did Jesus get this idea of a life-giving sacrament through the symbol of his body and blood? And you know, I get stuck with the idea that it should be from his mother. From a very scientific perspective, we know the mother gives her own body and blood to the child as food and drink. The child in the womb grows by eating the body of the mother. As all of us know, from a scientific point of view, the breast milk is made from the nutrients circulating in the mother's blood. The mammary glands draw in sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, and water from the blood and then synthesize or package them into milk. Some protective elements like antibodies and white blood cells also come directly from the bloodstream into the milk. But the blood itself never mixes with the milk. It is transformed and filtered. That's why breast milk sometimes is called living tissue. It carries immune defense, growth factors, and nutrition, all adapted for the baby. Therefore, the one who told you for the first time, "Take my body," is your mother. At the foot of the cross, when Jesus tells John, "Here is your mother," he is in fact handing over the source of his own body and blood, a mother for the humanity. You need the accompaniment of a mother in your life to feel belonged, to become altruistic. At the point of Jesus' death, John, who accompanied him till then, is suddenly feeling lonely. He is no more getting connected with life. Although John is hailed as the apostle of love, someone who beheld the world from a mystical point of view, at the foot of the cross, he stands shattered. Jesus, who is now on the cross, gets a drone vision, or rather, an aerial vision of the loneliness felt by John and says, "Behold, your mother. Take her." The ultimate giving happens here. Take my mother, who is the source of my body. Eucharist is extended here. Sisters and brothers, if you wish to set a goal in life, you need a mother who accompanies you. All through our life, mothers sing lullaby for us. During this month of the Holy Rosary, if we are not getting well connected with Mary, our mother, the best thing is to reflect on our mother. It is not how we treated her, but think of her as someone who enlightened our whole existence. Yes, mother is weightless. She is very light. Sisters and brothers, I would like to share with you an experience I had with my mother, which I consider as the wake-up call of my life. Sometimes during the course of the year, I used to visit my parents at home. Normally, I used to travel from Bangalore to my house on a weekend so that I can also celebrate the Holy Eucharist with my parents in the parish on Sunday. On a particular weekend, I reached home, and as all of you know, we have a washing machine at home. Naturally, our mother. I took my cassock out and gave to her and told her, Amma, please wash and make sure that it's clean and tidy. Tomorrow I need to use it for the Mass. She was very happy to do that. She washed my cassock and hung it for drying it. That was a heavily raining day. As a result, it took more time for the clothes to get dried. Later, I just went to see whether the cassock was dried or not, and to my shock and surprise, I saw something very strange. My whole cassock was full of blue. You know very well, mothers do not know how to handle a cassock. As a result, she put blue for my cassock, but unfortunately, that was not fully washed off. I just took it. In all my emotion and anger, I just went to my mother and shouted at her, saying that, look here, it's all full of blue. How will I wear it? Tomorrow morning I need to use it for the Mass. And I was saying all this in front of my whole family, my brother, my sister, and all my nephews and my niece. Naturally, the mother was at the receiving end. She never uttered a word. I just left the cassock there and went away. But she did one thing. She took the cassock, went again and washed it, cleaned it thoroughly, took it to her own room, put it under the fan. It was a very cold night. In spite of that, the fan in her room was going on turning in order to make sure that my cassock is dried properly. Early morning, around 5:30, I heard a knock at my door. And as I opened it, I see my mother standing there with a cassock. She was still smiling. Honestly to say, I just could not smile. I knew what I did. My words were not right. My expressions were unruly. And I was feeling ashamed of myself. Without saying a word, I took the cassock from her, wore it of course, and went to the church to celebrate the Mass. Yes, to celebrate the Mass. And my mother was there to witness it. I do not know, honestly, what I preached that day. I returned home. Somehow or the other, the whole house was a bit different. Everyone knew what I did the previous day was not correct. I was not able to contain it in myself. After a while, I went to my mother, held her by hand, took her to my room. I embraced her warmly, and I told her, I'm really sorry. Even there, I saw one thing. In spite of the tears that were falling down her eyes, she was still holding me so close. The warmth of a mother never dies. Yes, my sisters and brothers, mother is beyond gravity or velocity. We are all bound by gravitation. We attract everything to ourselves, both good and bad. Whereas our mothers are enveloped with grace. They have no weight. If you have an elderly mother at home, you can watch her. She is the most weightless person. When I think of the Assumption of Mary, for that matter, I try to see it in this way. She is very weightless. She has no ego. She hovers over us. The earth is still not ready to accept the weightlessness of the mass of a mother. She always leads us to heaven. Sisters and brothers, in this month of October, as we celebrate the mother's life and recite the Holy Rosary, let's also take to our hearts this message. Mother is an attitude, and you and I can become mothers for the world today. Amen.
समीक्ष्य यत्र गम्यता सर्वेषां मार्गः तथैव प्रवृत्तिः